Hi, I'm Jen from House One, and today I'm showing how I prepped my fireplace for new tile, and how I modernized the mantle by just replacing the molding. I'm in the process of renovating my entire fireplace wall to include new built-ins and to move the television up above the fireplace. But step one of that is to demo all the old tile, get the surfaces ready for new tile, and to remove the mantle, cut it a little bit shorter, and also modernize it with some new molding. First, I remove the molding along the entire wall and at the base of the mantle. I'm planning to reuse some of the molding, so I first scored the seam with a utility knife, and then used a thin putty knife to open the joint. After that, I was able to use a pry bar and hammer. I like to start in an outside corner so the molding can break free easier, and then work my way down the molding until it's loose enough that I can pop it free. Next, I could remove the transition molding that covered the seam between the tile and flooring. Now it was time to remove the mantle. I didn't know how the mantle was secured, so the key for me was to work my way around the edges with a pry bar until I found a spot that worked free. I then concentrated on that section to pull it loose and give me leverage to remove the rest of the mantle. I found the mantle was secured with 2 mounting blocks in each leg, so I knocked those out and set them aside to reinstall the mantle later. With the mantle out, I was ready to start removing the tile. Now, I had planned to cover and protect the firebox and the floor, but the tiles started coming off so easily that I was able to carefully hold and remove each full tile. All the tiles needed on the surround was a bit of pressure from a pry bar to pop free, so I was able to set them aside without a ton of mess. Next, I started on the tile hearth. Again, with just a bit of pressure, the tiles popped free, along with the metal edge trim. Once all the tiles were removed, I vacuumed the area clean. With the tiles removed, I was now able to assess my surfaces. Now, in my situation, the drywall and the base of the hearth were so covered in mortar that I felt like it was easier just to remove these surfaces instead of trying to repair them. Plus, I knew that my new design had smaller format tiles, and so starting out with really smooth surfaces was going to make my installation much easier. For the hearth, that meant removing the plywood so I could replace it with tile board. I then scraped as much mortar as I could off the front of the firebox with a putty knife. To prep the wall, I used a saw to cut out a section of drywall where the seam would fall behind the mantle and on a stud, so I had a nailer for the new piece. I then broke out the drywall. This was probably the messiest part of the job, but a shop vac and bucket of water and sponge can help minimize dust. My room was empty, or else I probably would have covered the furniture with plastic too. Once everything was removed and clean, I could install a new piece of drywall with drywall screws. For the hearth, I picked up a piece of tile board. Now at my home center, this comes in a 3-foot by 5-foot sheet in either a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch thickness, which is important if you want your tiles to set flush with your floor. I also picked up a pack of the specialty screws that went along with the HardieBacker tile board that I chose. Because I'm using HardieBacker, which is less crumbly than some other options, I can get away with cutting my small notches for the mantle legs with a jigsaw fitted with a coarse wood blade. Still, it was important to make this cut outside and to wear a good mask. I set the mantle back in place to mark its location and then placed the board on the hearth. Lastly, I screwed in the tile board with specialty screws. With my surfaces complete, it was time to update the mantle. I first cut the legs shorter to bring down the height of the mantle so I could mount a television at a more comfortable viewing height. I then cut the edges of the top of the mantle to allow the new bookcases to set flush against the sides. I also wanted to get rid of the flutes on the face of each leg, but I wasn't confident I could fill and sand them smooth, so I removed the trim, cut the faceboard off each leg, and just flipped it. I removed the rest of the edge trim and replaced it with 1x2s for a more modern look, including the trim piece that covered the seam on the faceboards. After a new coat of paint, my mantle was ready for install. To install the mantle, I remounted the blocks on the wall, pushed the mantle over the blocks, and then nailed the mantle to the edges of the blocks. Lastly, I attached new metal trim edges to the firebox with adhesive to create a clean edge. With my mantle updated and my prep work done, part 1 of this project was complete. It was now time to install the tile and get started on the built-in cabinets. For more information on those projects, click the links below. And for more renovation and woodworking projects, visit House 1. I'm Jenn Largesse. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you'd like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.